My mom told me not to talk to strangers on the internet, but I'm glad I didn't listen. We are the Certified Newsnas, your sisters in the love of Asian entertainment.
Hi, I'm Amanda.
I'm Jessie.
I'm Natalia.
And I'm Sky.
And today, we are going to be doing a beloved, just absolutely beloved segment that we do every so often. That's right, it's the Newsnas again. Newsnas is back. We got the news. We're going to just talk about, Asian entertainment news that we found interesting since the last time we talked about it, which I was informed was at the end of September, because Guy and I were talking about this because I was like, I can't find any interesting news, but we did find some, so don't worry. We found some interesting news for
I was trying to tell her how far back to look. I'm like, surely you can see.
Surely you can find something.
Go back far enough.
I was like, I put down everything, but no, we found some interesting shit. There's some stuff to talk about today. So who would like to go first? Who's got a juicy piece of news?
I'll start one because this news dropped last night.
Ooh.
I had already put my news, I was already mostly ready for the episode. But then, this isn't huge for everyone, but for people that do follow these specific groups, it's a big deal that two entertainment companies announced their merger as of last night. Well, last night Western, on the Western side of time zones. So Play M Entertainment. Play M, they have A Pink, Victon, Weekly, and Bandage. So that's who they have. And they have some soloists, but those are the main K-pop groups. And then Cre.ker Entertainment, which, in case you're curious, Cre.ker stands for Creative Kernel.
Okay.
Yeah. Cre.ker Entertainment, the big group they have is The Boys. That's the main one at this point. So they both announced a merger as IST Entertainment.
It's a better name.
Yeah, better than Cre.ker.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, every time I see Cre.ker, I always thought cracker.
Yeah, it's an example of did you ask,
anyone?
A Western English speaking person?
No, you don't just anyone. They never do.
No.
A lot of this stuff is even weird on their end. Just ask one of the members of the groups and they'll be like, yeah, that's weird.
Because literally Kevin is right there. He's just waiting to tell you this is a dumb name for a company.
So yeah, that is a big deal for those groups and stuff.
Yeah.
Change things for them.
They're not the only companies getting bought up, absorbed, because coming out of China, Tencent, who is a monster company, the ones who own WeTV, they've been very quietly acquiring Japanese video game companies.
Just reaching in and picking them.
Yeah, like Japanese.
Put it in my pocket.
Yeah. The theory is, though they have not released any statements about what their plans are for acquiring several Japanese video game companies. The theory is that because of the newest Chinese government crackdowns on video gaming, the video game companies that they own in China are potentially not going to be the money makers that they once were. So they're now going outside of China to ensure a profit base, because China seems to be anti-making money at the moment with all of their new laws.
So
what really plan on those things, did they? When they announced all this.
What are the game? Not that you have to go into it in detail, but I guess I wasn't aware of the video gaming side of the Chinese stuff. So what? Are they just limiting it, or?
Yeah, so basically China just put out a new law. I don't know if it's a law or a directive or something, where kids can only play a certain number of hours of video games a week.
I think it's 3 hours.
3 hours. It is not a lot of time.
Which would mean that the sales wouldn't go up, because you're 3 hours on a game means you're only buying one game to chip away at, essentially.
Yeah, right.
So it's sort of decimating the Chinese gaming industry
that makes
this.
Sense.
Sort of in the same way that all of the rules concerning what they can make TV shows about is not a good thing for the Chinese film and television industry, because it really limits the amount of things you can do. So previously to this, Tencent had made small investments in like a variety of different entertainment companies in Japan, but this is the first time they've just full out like taken over companies. It's an interesting. I'm thinking
Kind of
it's
gotta
only,
do what you gotta do, I
you
guess.
gotta do what you
Yeah.
gotta do. I feel like it's really only a matter of time at this point before like Tencent and HYBE and stuff are buying up worldwide.
Well, yeah, that's what
Yeah.
like
It's like
IGE
IGE is going
talked
into
about
Korea,
it. Yeah,
yeah.
they're going into Korea, and then I think they're also going to try to like hit up other Asian
Yeah.
countries just to get out of like its majority being in
China.
China.
Because that looks like at this point that looks like it's a losing strategy monetarily to try to stay in the mainland.
Because I mean, you could sit there and just hold your stuff for like the next decade and hope that things eventually change, which because they probably will. Things will shift
Mhm.
Listen,
later.
their current, president for life can't live forever.
Right.
He's
I mean,
not a young
things-
man. So,
in order to stay in business until then, you gotta
yeah,
do
you
gotta
gotta
do something.
diversify.
Yeah.
And I always find these sort of stories so funny because inevitably there's going to be some like xenophobic panic in the comments being like, they're trying to take over these cultures. And I'm like, no, I don't actually think that at the moment they're trying to like become a cultural, hegemonic situation. I think this is purely a business based.
Oh yeah, no, it's
we
totally
gotta,
for
we gotta make
survival.
money. Like we gotta stay in business sort of situation.
But hopefully a thing that'll happen is more Japanese content
Yes.
to where
Yeah.
around the world it can be
We're
out
hoping.
there a bit more.
So far
Woo-woo.
it seems to be just video games at the moment, but Tencent has always been like putting in small investments, like smaller investments in many different entertainment situations. So I imagine that will probably increase as time goes on because it will have to keep their business going at the size that it is.
Well, if we want to round this out on people merging or potential mergers, it was confirmed that CG Entertainment is in talks to acquire SM,
Which is interesting.
which would be
Yes.
a huge thing.
Interesting.
And I can only imagine what company they're trying to like hit up against
yeah.
in like major acquisitions, because CG Entertainment owns a ton of stuff and they own a slew of labels already, like some of the smaller labels. Anything that you see in like the KCON and those type of conventions, they're all
owned by
them. They have a huge entertainment line, like most blockbuster movies coming out
I
of
believe
Korea
that
is from them.
Studio Dragon is owned by them too.
Yeah.
That's the one that has a deal with Netflix. So a
It's
lot
huge.
of the Netflix shows are the produced.
If
by
you've
them as
ever
well.
watched like Korean movies, there's you know how they have the little like movie trailer thing for the company. It's the one that kind of looks like Pixar, but it's not. Most of the huge blockbusters that are coming out of Korea are tied to them. So this would be a huge
So for all
acquisition.
people like worried about this is like how Disney owns Fox and owns 500 other companies. So they're still their own company, but it's just the money goes somewhere else. So it really doesn't change much for the our comrade K-pop idol wage slaves that
no, it just means that they would probably only go on their shows.
Yeah,
but company, it'd be like more brand loyal to that side.
True.
But also
Yeah.
that means that I'm sure they have other things too, because all those companies tie into a bunch of other companies that aren't even connected to entertainment.
I want to give a tiny footnote to the SM Entertainment thing. This was never announced like in the news or anything because people wouldn't care aside from the fandom. But fans of Astro have noticed that they definitely have been using SM Entertainment's training room, like dance practice room.
Oh.
So, and we're pretty sure that they moved into like a floor of the old SM building is what it feels like.
Yeah.
Listen, the space is there. You gotta,
Yeah.
Even on a recent video, MJ, he was in the old dance, like the Fantagio dance room, and then later it's like, oh, that's that same one. Like we all
Like,
know
yeah.
that one.
I
know
do
that
that's
Vasco.
like on like a similar one. Whenever Wonho posts his dance videos, previously, like since Highline pretends like it's not a subsidiary
Yeah.
of Starship, they had put like poster board over the Starship logo. But like recently, he's just like been like, fuck it. Like he just like leaves it out. He's like,
Yeah.
what?
He's like, I don't care.
He's like, what? Like who doesn't know?
This is all public knowledge too. Like you just
Yeah.
2 clicks and it's literally public legal knowledge. You're like,
Yeah.
why try? Like
It's
we
like
all
when
knew.
I just remember like when he was, you know, signed by Highline Entertainment. It was the article
Yeah.
was like Highline, a subsidiary of Starship.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
Starship knew what was good. You know, they
Yeah,
knew what
yeah.
was up.
My favorite is when he's doing like V-Lives and stuff and it flashes. All the comments are like, be cool, be cool, be cool, be cool, be cool. Don't say anything. We don't know anything. What Starship?
Oh, what?
I don't see anything. My eyes are closed.
All right. Well, I don't have any more mergers to talk about. So I'm going to do enlistments because we should, get that out of the
Just
way.
rip that
so
Band-Aid.
we can enjoy
Yeah.
stuff. All my babies are leaving. And
I
I'm
know.
sad.
I know.
This
It's
is a
like
massive
literally,
amount this round.
literally.
Literally, top of the level. O and F decided on and off. O and F. Their oldest member has to enlist. So the rest of them said, okay, us too. I mean, not the Japanese member, obviously,
Well,
but
yes.
the rest of them, so 5 of them are all just going all at once. They're all leaving in December. They've got one more release that they're gonna, a sort of goodbye track, see you in 2 years, coming out in December, and then they're all heading for the hills. So
I think it's smart.
I mean, we always say
smart.
that
We
here,
always say this. We always
Do
say
it.
Just
right? Like if
and then you can have the most
especially
epic
now,
comeback.
young,
You can have the most epic comeback when you return. Just
Yeah,
think about
It's
it.
also perfect because then the Japanese member could like go visit family for a good
Yeah.
long time too. 'Cause
Mhm.
he's probably hasn't been with his family in
Home
years,
for a while.
you know?
Yeah.
It just works out. And maybe he picks up some Japanese gigs and gets their
Yeah.
name out there in Japan.
For sure.
I see nothing wrong with all of them leaving at the same time.
No, and especially because like they just sort of exploded this year, so they're going out
Yeah.
on a high note, which means that they're more likely to have a comeback, a strong comeback, right? Because they're going out strong. The others are all going to have to leave. We're talking like 25 to 27 is sort of the age range there.
Mhm.
It's not like, okay, this one's going to go and come back and then the others are going to have a couple of years together. Like,
Yeah.
no, they're all going to have to go before he even gets back. So like, you might as well do it.
Well, and especially when you have fewer members compared to like the large group.
Yeah.
You
Like,
know, when you have a lot,
NCT.
you
they
might
can
as
take
well
their
have
turns.
rolling enlistments with NCT.
Yeah, right? Like, okay.
I feel like NCT should enlist in like chunks.
Units.
Yeah, like 6 at a time. Just like go and then, so it's sort of like a, you minimize the amount.
A
Or
chunk
you
of them are
make-
Chinese, so they're not enlisting.
Yeah, and then
It's
Wavy
like,
just does whatever, listen,
Yeah.
Wavy is there. They're waiting. They can pick up the slack, Anyway, go on, more enlistments.
Or make new subunits based on who
Mm.
enlists. That would be really fun.
Let me see. We had Noir's Lee Jung Young and Son Sang Young, who's an actor, both enlisted on November 8th. See, I'm trying to skip over the discharges. We can end on a happy note. So Kang Joon, my darling, surprise! He's going into the army.
We had a whole conversation about this because I was like, didn't he already enlist? And like, no, he didn't.
It's because of his looks.
He has looked 28
Yeah,
for a long
for
time.
like 10 years.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
So,
when I remember watching that, what was that show they did? The after school surprise or something.
And they
show?
all looked old. They
Oh,
all
And they
looked
all
old.
seemed old.
Surprise.
And then I'm looking them up and I'm like, wait, what? Especially the one character who was like having sex with older women and stuff in the story. And I was like, you're like 12. Stop it. Like, what is going on? So yeah.
They've all looked old forever. So.
They've
Yeah.
all looked like adults for a long, long
Surprise!
surprise. And Gong Myung is enlisting Discharges, people coming back.
Yay! Returns, yay!
So B2B's Hyungsik and Sungjae were discharged
So
November
exciting.
14th.
Getting the band, getting the boys back together, getting that band back together. You know how it is.
Yang Soo-jeon, actor, discharged also this month.
I am so excited. I like him as an actor, so
Yeah,
I'm really
me
excited
too.
to see him back on the screen.
Same. Woo Do-hwan is on his final military leave. So they're supposed to take like a week or two, a month before they let out, but ever since pandemic, it's like you take that week or two and then you just stay gone. So
yeah,
officially he's out in January, but technically he ain't doing anything anymore. Like,
it's because they kept on doing that thing where they're trying to like reduce vacation so you weren't on and off of the property so much. Usually you would be like, I have a vacation and I'll go for a weekend, extended weekend. They're kind of like, maybe don't do that because of COVID. I'm sure he literally just didn't take any of his vacation. He's like, I'm gonna have 2 months off.
There is actually one more enlistment, but this is not in Korea. So in Thailand, they do also have military draft, but it's not the same as in Korea. So not everyone has to go. It's like a lottery where the prize is you have to go enlist for 2 years. So it's not really a great prize.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations. There was like a time where like Bam Bam was up for it, but he didn't get it. So it was like
Nickun didn't get it either.
Yeah.
He like got to the thing and he's like, oh, I guess I'm not. Okay.
Yeah. So actor, I always forget. I just know him as Frank. But
Frank
Thanatsaran, he was drafted for 2 years. So if you were a Still Together fan or a Together fan and you loved the Sarah Watt's little brother, well, you ain't gonna see him for 2 years. So
Drake and his eyebrows will have to hang out with somebody else.
We'll have to be solo for a little while.
Yeah.
But just know that we pay attention to other countries' enlistments as well, though.
It doesn't hit as hard because they don't, because of the lottery, right? Like, and it's not even like a 50-50. It's something like 300 guys show up and they take 3 or something. And you're like, all right.
So,
I guess it's my turn.
Yeah.
There's a new girl group that made their debut named Billlie with 3 L's, or 2 of the L's are 11s. It depends on if they're being stylish or not.
Trying to confuse us here. They're playing mind games.
But as far as how you go find them, you use L's. That's the, kind of on the weekly side of things. Weekly has 3 E's. Billlie has 3 L's. They made their debut, and they have a lot of really interesting members. I think their album's great. One of the members is Moon Sua. That is Astro Moonbin's sister. She's been working on trying to debut for like years. So it's already been really cute when Astro MJ was on whatever show, Sanha and Moonbin music show that they MC. They always have like little intros for like next week, this debut and stuff. So MJ said like next week, Billie's debut, the girl group that makes Moonbin nervous.
I just saw that she was interviewed saying that she hopes someday she gets to do a stage with her brother.
Aww. Super cute.
Their music video is really great. Like their performance, I think, is really cool. They're kind of girl crush side of things, in my opinion.
So Kim Jong-kook has been in the news twice. There's like a few things that went down with Kim Jong-kook. All of them fine. Don't worry. Yeah. Your man is still good, okay? This is not one of those bad Kim Jong-kook was in the news. For the first off business side, Disney Plus, of all places, is producing a variety show spin-off of Running Man, Outrun by Running Man, which will star Kim Jong-kook, Haha, and Jisoo Jin, which I know my husband is very excited for. So that should be super fun.
I want to say on that, though, one of the first 2 episodes involves a lot of members from various K-pop boy groups. They're all wearing animal masks. So like from Infine and ATEEZ and Day6. I mean, so there's a member from
these three dudes are friends with everyone in the entertainment.
It's true.
Like between the 3 of them, they know everyone. So that I'm like really pumped for that. But the other thing that happened which is possibly the funniest online clapback I've seen in a while. So there's this like really douchebag roid jockey dude who
I think he's also Canadian too.
he is Canadian. I am very ashamed of this man. He's kind of just a piece of shit. You know what? Pieces of shit live everywhere.
He's not kind of. He like
country.
really is.
100% is a piece of shit. So he gained internet infamy at first because there was this video of this very sweet girl saying like, please, if I'm filling up my gas, this isn't like a dating site. I just want to fill up my gas and go. Don't bother me. And him being like, oh, you think you're so special? Like men can't even talk to you anymore. Like blah, blah,
The
blah.
greatest
And
fear is rejection. So why can't you just
greatest
say
fear and
something to
rejection.
them
And it's
at
just
the
like-
gas station?
And so anyway, he became sort of like the joke of TikTok for like a good week, which you do not want to be the joke of TikTok.
No, especially
It's
when
like-
it comes together, because it's very rarely that like
That all the sides
all
of
the
TikTok
groups
unite
come together.
Everyone was dragging this dude. Now you would think after you got dragged so hard for like your douchebaggery and misogyny, you would just quietly regroup and like try to just quietly,
Homer Simpson
Not-
back into the
back
bushes,
into the,
like
just
I'm
like
just-
disappear for a little while, maybe change your image. No, this man decided to double down. So recently, Kim Jong-kook started a YouTube channel called, and this is possibly the greatest channel name I have ever seen, Jim Jong-kook. And it's basically just like his workout videos. Now, if you're not familiar with Kim Jong-kook, for years he has been the face of like Korean bodybuilding.
I mean,
like,
let's be real, over a decade. I mean, it's been
like
a
Dispatch
long
has
time.
given up following this man because all he does is eat chicken breast and go to the gym. Okay?
And he's like also like in retrospective, he's like one of the first like major stars in Variety. He's been doing that for decades.
So he has been buff for most of his life, okay? Because like he has like a fucked up spine, so he started working out to help with his spine. And then he just loved it. So anyway, so this little douchebag who should have just quietly escaped apparently got like really upset that this random buff Korean 45-year-old got 2 million subscribers while he's probably languishing at like a couple thousand. And so he's like, there's no way that this 45-year-old man could be this buff without steroids. He must use steroids. You all shouldn't be following him. And then Kim Jong-kook, instead of just ignoring this little dumbass who's clearly using steroids himself, is like, nah, man. I might be 45, but anyone can do this if they love exercising enough. I am going to pay to take any doping, like all the doping tests, so you can find out that no, I just work out a lot and live a healthy lifestyle, and you can too. Like, no one's stopping you. No one's stopping you from being as healthy as I am. Like, if you want to, if you don't, that's fine. But like, thank you for like, thinking that I am too buff to be real, but I assure you, I am real.
He was very like, he was like, no, everybody can do it, and I really want everybody to do it. And I think this
I want
would
everyone
be really
to be healthy, like
healthy.
and so like he destroyed this man so politely, like, and people are fucking
So
losing
perfect.
it. They're losing it with hilarity. Like, this man should have just shut up.
It's also so funny because it was clear that the guy was, if he's gonna be like that way to the girl, he's a racist,
be that way to
homophobic,
everyone.
xenophobic, everything, right? But the problem is that Jungkook is fluent in English and also comes over here a lot too. So he was gonna get it, like it was gonna like come to him at some point, and he's going to like actually understand everything that's coming out of this guy's mouth and be like, I can like take you down easily
and
with no
just,
mistranslation whatsoever.
The chef's kiss and like the comments. People are losing it, like laughing at this guy. They're like, I would like to thank this like random guy for like proving to the world that Kim Jong-kook is all natural. Like, it's just like, and you're like, just Buddy should have let it go. He should have just quietly retired from his fuckery.
Yeah.
But no.
No.
Oh.
So now we see if he backs into the bushes or if he finds a new
Or he
Hoping.
can find
Fingers
someone else to go
crossed.
after. Mhm.
Netflix Japan just
Mhm.
did a summit conference. I don't know what they're calling it. Press conference a couple of weekends ago when this episode is airing. And it was akin to what Netflix Korea did at the beginning of this year, where they talked about kind of like the stuff that they had planned and what they were doing with their expansion, because they do intend to expand a bit more into Netflix. And almost all of it is like, at least on the live action side of things, was kind of already known stuff. It was kind of just a official like event, because they also did like, you know, videos with like the actors of some of the shows, and they were presenting, so it's kind of like more of like a fanciful thing. And they talked about like some of the things that they're doing, which some of the news that we had already gotten was the lineup of a lot of the originals that are coming that are available to us. There's not a lot, there's only a handful. And also in all of this, it's over like a 2 to 3 year period, so some of this stuff isn't like happening for another 2 years or so. And then they talked a little bit more about their deal with Nippon TV, which they are going to acquire like something like 50 titles from them. Great for anybody in Asia, not great for us because we're not going to have access to it. But I'm just gonna like sit here and be nice and be like happy that you guys outside of Japan in Asia get to like experience all this and not be jealous at all.
I'm so happy for you.
so
I'm not at
happy.
all jealous.
Not at all.
Jane will be so happy.
Yeah. So
I'm
you know
sure.
what, Jane, you can watch everything for us and you can be like our off-site.
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
She's like, this is what you should be watching. So I will, just as a side plug on my blog, I will have a wrap up that I will have up by the time this episode airs, if you really want to see some of the specific things. But it is almost all stuff that have already been announced or already on the site as potential coming up. Like they even mentioned a movie that premiered last week on the site, and a lot of them already have trailers up on Netflix. So a lot of it wasn't new. However, if you are on the anime side of your love, Netflix is going pretty hard on anime. So look into that. They are really expanding and really pushing. I mean, it's always been their intention, and you could see that over the years, but it's full on. They even specifically for this thing, they had live action stuff, and then they had an anime like stream. Cool. So it was like specifically that big. Some of the big things that like would be of importance to people is that they did announce that Alice in Borderland season 2 will be happening the end of next year. They are currently filming it right now. They had a couple of the actors, you know, do a little like, we're filming on set right now and here it is and we're excited to be this. And the CEO or whoever he is, the higher ups guy at Netflix Japan, did specifically say that their focus or their want of focus on Netflix Japan's expansion in Netflix would be to focus on movies the most.
Well,
so
then it is what it is. You know?
So look forward to more movies. We are getting a lot more than we have in terms of J-dramas.
Like literally anything is
airing
better than
J-dramas, and I'm like really appreciative of that because I obviously don't know how hard it is in terms of like legal side of things that are preventing these types of things that like may not even be the company's issue as well. It might be outside governmental control or whatever it is. But they will be focusing more on movies, and then obviously the anime side. They did announce some other things as well. There is going to be either next year or the year after that, there'll be a live action Gundam movie. And they've already started they already have like a promo pic that like
that's pretty
just
sick.
got released like yesterday, and it's on everything. So that's the thing. I don't know the storyline of it, and
which Gundam
if you know
Gundam,
all that means is there's a mecha. Like I don't like
it could be anything. It could be anything.
But I love a lot of the Gundam series, so I am excited for that. They did also announce that there is a One Piece live action series coming out. It is a Western production. It is American, or North American, but they announced the official cast for that. And it is a series. It's not a movie.
It looks intriguing.
And like a lot of like the people attached to One Piece are attached to this. So I'm hopeful that it does the Cowboy Bebop route, or at least obviously Cowboy Bebop has not aired. So I don't know if Cowboy Bebop is going to be as good as it is in the trailers, but I'm hopeful that it goes that route. What I saw of the cast, I don't know, like American actors, I don't know, especially when they're that young.
Yeah, I've never heard of any of these people.
Yeah, but it looks pretty diverse to me.
Yeah, it does.
I didn't go, like, obviously it's just like based on looks for me. I didn't actually look, but it looked fairly diverse. So that is a plus, especially if you're going to set it here.
Especially since like in the One Piece universe, it is actually diverse.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
Like, listen, One Piece is not an anime or manga that's dependent on Japanese culture for it to be a story. It's based in a fantasy world with pirates.
Yeah, so I'm kind of hopeful.
So it's one of those that it's okay.
Especially with Netflix kind of actually having a little bit more grasp on anime. Obviously, like, there have been missteps, but I think they're on a good path, especially now that you have, like, you know, Netflix Japan actually producing stuff and being an essential part of Netflix's kind of greater community, and as opposed to it just kind of picking up stuff and it being a smaller unit. So,
and in terms of like live action remakes, Netflix is also making a live action Avatar: The Last Airbender, which I recognize is not a Japanese thing, but the cast is very diverse, and they just announced that Daniel Day Kim is playing the villain. So that's always a win. Good. Like,
win for everyone.
And I've been loving like the online takes where they're like, oh, I don't really care about Avatar: The Last Airbender. Then it's like Daniel Day Kim as,
like,
you know, and the Fire Lord Ozai, and everyone's like, Daddy. Like, maybe
who tweeted she retweeted or quote tweeted the announcement about Daniel Day Kim, and she was like, it's funny how I never realized that he actually wasn't a victim or a villain. Isn't that weird?
Misunderstood. Just a misunderstood man. Like, listen, let's be honest. Okay, we've been, in terms of Avatar: The Last Airbender, we have all been burned. Okay, we all remember the movie version that they came up with being just absolutely terrible on all fronts. But I have some hope. Okay, I do. The hope is alive inside of me that maybe.
Yeah.
My problem.
This one's going to be a series, though, too.
Yeah,
right?
it's a series.
So that's always better than trying to cram 50 episodes into an hour and a half.
I just resented that everyone in the original, like in like the remake. Okay. All the white people were good, and then they had Dev Patel as the villain. Like, no.
Yeah.
No, I see you, producers. Like, nice try.
Yeah.
And also, it was really boring and poorly made. So we're hoping for something better this time.
All right. So are we on to me then?
We are on to you.
All right. So. Remakes. On the good side, there's Princess Hours. Jung. I mean, this could be delightful. We're due for another modern monarchy, take. It's been a little bit. That's a much older drama, and it had some fun to it. I mean, to me, most of the fun is in the chemistry of the actors, but the concept is cute. So that could be very fun. And that's a Korean remake of a Korean drama. They're just updating it, making it fresh.
I just realized
2009.
Yeah, something like that.
2006.
Oh gosh.
Oh yeah. So
I really desire cameos from the original.
Yeah. Oh God, yes. Like I want them to like be the parents or something. You know what I mean?
I sort of hope that they remake it in the style of like the like the modern remake of Meteor Garden, because I found that very refreshing as versus just the direct remakes that have existed where you're just like, okay, these tropes, they worked in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
They don't really work anymore.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
So I definitely hope that it's fresher or that they go fully all out and make it like something completely crazy, like Last
Jong
Empress
level.
or something, you know, like it's just bonkers.
Because,
like,
listen,
and
I
you
watched
know it's
Jung,
bonkers.
and
you know?
I liked it well enough, but there was a lot of real sluggish bits.
Oh, for sure.
Real sluggish bits in
No.
Gung.
If you also think about it, you know, not only have we not really had a modern monarchy in years, what was even the last one?
Well,
Eternal
the Last
Monarchs?
Empress.
Eternal
The-
I
Oh,
guess.
yeah, okay. But that wasn't okay. That was, but it wasn't, because that was also like a sci-fi show. So
But
it was
also
like
in
an
a
alternate reality.
Mahjong that's younger, because all of our
Yeah, the
Mahjongs
younger.
now, like they might have younger characters, but they're all, you know, the children of the older stars.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
we haven't had those two specific things that are so like definitively
Kinda like-
K-drama.
Yeah.
That it could be interesting if they heighten both of those.
Yeah.
Like the high school.
I sort of just, like, I would love for
Yeah.
it to like have fun with itself. You know what I mean? Like to be fun. Like I feel like that would be.
Yeah,
nice,
I'd like
you
it
know,
to
like,
be
sort of
fun, not
Yeah.
necessarily dark, right?
Like,
Like,
yeah, like we don't need a
don't-
gritty remake of
We don't-
Princess
need like
Hours.
CW
Or
remake.
die with
We
royals
do
or
not.
so.
Yeah. Oh, but see, if it's a gritty remake, it has to be so gritty that it becomes funny. You know what I mean? Like, sort of like, you know, in the way that, you know, Penthouse was so over the top, like, dark, that it became sort of a parody of the genre in its own fun way, which people love, you know?
Yeah.
It's true. It is true. Other remakes that we're getting are American remakes, or some of them are just suggested and some of them are full on happening. We just saw today that an American director watched Time to Hunt during his pandemic
Unnecessary.
lockdown, and he was like, ooh, this is a good idea. I should make a movie of this. And you're like, but the
Unnecessary.
movie's
And
right there. Like it
Netflix
already
is like
exists.
also backing it too. They're like
Unnecessary. Unnecessary.
Just watch
so
the original. It's right
unnecessary.
there. Like you don't.
It's like, yeah.
Okay.
But go on, announce the other ones because I have
And then-
thoughts.
The other ones that have been mentioned or announced are W
Okay.
remake
Mhm.
by the CW and
Okay.
and possibly Crash Landing on You.
Okay.
Also
One of these
Netflix.
things is
I'm a cut in.
one of them not so much. Like W on the CW, that makes sense to
That
me.
makes sense. Okay, I know that a lot of people are like, ooh, American remakes so bad. But like W does not rely on Korean culture as a backdrop for it to be a fun story or for it to make sense. There is no cultural context to W. It's about comic, like she goes into her dad's comic and there's like an evil faceless murderer. That's just fun, okay? That could be any culture.
And it's
Everyone
a
has comic
plot
books.
that is very North American centric
Yeah.
too. That would
So
it's a
W
plot that you would
makes
see.
sense.
Yeah.
Crash Landing on You requires the political backdrop of South and North America, South and North Korea
Even
for it to make sense.
even romanticized North Korea.
Yeah.
It's still like there was still
And that we have
not
nothing like
romanticized
that.
aspects of
Yeah.
Like
Well-
that only like if you're going to make a quote unquote white version of it, maybe if you set it in like Cold War era Germany or something, you can make
But
it
they
work.
won't do that.
But they
No,
won't
it's
do
not.
that. So,
Go-
like-
it's going to be here.
Why?
Yeah,
I
and
was-
it's unnecessary. This
I
is
was
an
talking about
unnecessary
this
thing.
the other day. Like a couple of things that are wrong with just remakes in general. I'm not saying that like I don't think that
Mhm.
W could do fine, but one of the big things is the cultural aspect. But it's both the cultural aspect of the society that it's in
Mhm.
and their entertainment.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Crash Landing on You is culturally, entertainment wise,
Yeah.
a Asian drama
Yeah.
that does not translate well to Western audiences' taste. So you have that, and then you also
not
have
in the sense of like
cultural
Western
aspects
audiences watching it, in the sense of Western audiences being made for Western audiences.
Well, yeah,
'Cause,
like you just don't
obviously-
have those type of things. Like a rom-com in Western audiences is not what you're going to get as an Asian thing,
No.
Asian entertainment thing. So that was like also an issue. And then it also needs to be brought up the fact that because these remakes are going to be made, that means they actively pushed away people of color, marginalized society, or people in marginalized societies, you know, that whole group who are here in America pushing out like original content, and they're not getting picked up because they would rather just remake.
And it's like, you know, the occasional remake is not, you know, the enemy. Like,
yeah,
for example,
and occasionally
I hear that The Good Doctor, which is a remake of a Korean show, is very good and people like it.
And that's one of those
fine.
like that it works because it's not based on the culture like either way. Yes, it does suck, and we have to address that it does suck that, you know, a person of color or, you know, that side of the writer world was turned down for that script, and they shouldn't have been, right? You know,
For sure.
that sort of thing for original content.
Yeah.
But at least it fits, and W has that kind of train where it like fits.
And also,
Crash
like,
Landing on
W
You just doesn't
It
fit.
doesn't.
No.
But like, and W, like, people are like, oh, CW, main W. That's actually a channel where a show like W makes sense to make.
Absolutely.
Like, they would
100%.
I'm gonna call it, the CW would do a great job remaking W, and
I think so.
Can go on like, they might not, but they could, because that's the sort of show that they are experts at making.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, everyone in there is gonna be a hot 20-something, even if they don't need to be but like, that works for that genre.
Yeah, exactly.
I will say, I have one with the CW. I have seen that their track record with taking care of their staff and stuff
It's
has
not
been
great.
like, is pretty crummy. And I will say we could say that's probably across the board, Western, Eastern, anything. But I mean, there have been headlines in the last few months that there's some really negative stuff that has happened. So like, that's the only thing I have about the CW.
For sure.
But as far as conceptually, story-wise, if it would work, I mean, I think it would be really cool.
Yeah, it just seems fine. Like, okay, yeah, this works.
Yeah,
and I say that I'm a huge W fan. Like, I love that show.
Yeah, I love W too.
I like the concept of it. I kind of got bored in the second half.
I have to pick it up again now.
No, I love see, this is so funny because I found like a lot of people said that they hated the second half. I didn't. I thought it was fun. I was like, yes, the variables. Give me the variables. All of it. But like, this is like the type of book I love to read. So it was like,
yeah.
So what were you saying, Amanda?
Oh, like that. It's, I don't know. There's potential when you remake, kind of like you were saying earlier about remaking Meteor Garden, but making it fresh, right? There's an opportunity to, when you do a remake, to contextualize it into your culture, to change some things, to freshen up stuff, to take stuff that maybe didn't work in the original and tweak it or do something new.
It's like, like societies sort of evolve over time. So it's like, what would be acceptable for television in 2006 is not what people expect. Like, even like if you look at something like Boys Over Flowers, like the romantic relationship in Boys Over Flowers, if you were watching that, like, if Meteor Garden had been a direct thing, you'd be like, ooh, this is a jail.
No.
Well, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but W probably also like falls into that category too, and has some things, even though it is like relatively newer comparatively, it has some things that would not translate well, especially if you're not into Asian dramas and you don't go into it being like, I remember what year this was in, so it's I'm aware of what's happening. And
it's often, let's be real, it often on the minimal side, you can say just gender dynamics within the characters, but then it goes worse from there. But like W is an example of, I mean, off the top of my head, it's more of a gender dynamics, power authority.
Yeah.
There's some paternalism going on in the show.
Yeah.
Let us be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah.
I like it, but we can like things and also, you know.
But it's also
admit the
something that
problems with
like
them.
wouldn't affect its core value of a story if
Yeah.
it's changed. It just works better.
Whereas
Whereas on you,
yeah,
I can't even in my head think of how you're going to set it.
because like
How?
everybody who's talking about how are we setting this? What are we setting it during the Civil War? Are we like
Oh,
is it
gross! No,
you
don't
know,
do that.
right?
Don't
No,
do that.
that's
No,
not-
I'm gonna
There's
put
the
a big X in
border.
front of that.
Like
Or
what border
people are
is
talking, like,
equivalent?
Yeah,
like,
there isn't.
oh,
there
it'll
isn't one.
be like America, Mexico, and I'm like, but it's not the same thing.
No.
People don't grasp that Korea is Korea. There
It's
was
like-
no North and South Korea until Russia and the US decided to make a line. And they
Yeah.
said, you take care of the top half and we'll take care of the bottom half. And they turned it into two countries.
Yeah.
Well, just at the
We
very
have nothing
least,
like that.
right
Like, it's
now, I could just walk into Mexico and walk back, and there wouldn't be a
Right, yeah.
thing. I can't do that if I
And
was
no.
a Korean.
It's like, cause see,
person.
like, so for the sake, that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, if you get
It's
blown into
different.
Mexico, you just go to the police and say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to enter the country. I was and nothing, and they will bring you to your embassy to get
and none
you home.
of these
You can't do
work
that in
for
North
the central
Korea.
story.
Yeah.
You just make like honestly, are they going to do what they? There was a couple of years back they were talking about doing the CW remake of Strong Woman Do Bong Soon, and they completely changed the plot of it. Do you remember this?
Yes.
No.
I'll
yes.
have to find if I can find the article, I'll link it in our blog post. But it was literally one of those quote unquote remakes where they kept the name and maybe some of the characters' names, but none of it was the central story
Yeah.
at all. And
Yeah.
you're like, not a remake. And it should be
Yeah.
illegal to call things remakes if that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Listen,
Crash
that's a
Landing on You
remix.
is
That's
gonna
a
be
remix, not a remake.
right.
You know?
Like
You're baiting
the
people.
only thing I can imagine coming out of American media to remake this is either going to be so incredibly
Offensive.
bad, racist,
Problematic.
somehow,
Yeah.
right? Like something
Legitimately
really
bad.
problematic, or it's going to just be a fluffy Hallmark movie rom-com level stuff. that
It's a bad
completely
idea.
Ignores the subtext, and they, in
Yeah.
which case, just say you're making Overboard again. We've got 76 versions of that already in American media. Just remake one of those ones. I've heard people talking too about the possibility of remaking Squid Games for an American audience. And I'm
Why
like,
bother? That's just a-
contextually, you can, but why would you bother? It became the most popular show on Netflix. People were watching subtitles and
Yeah,
dubs. They
just
didn't care.
yeah.
So why would you bother? But also, when they talk about doing it, they're talking about it as if they're making another one in the Saw franchise or something. And you're like, there's subtext, there's stuff
Like,
going on in Squid Game.
Listen,
it's
you
not
could just make another Saw movie.
shoot 'em up.
Well, you're also like saying there aren't that type of entertainment here in America that are like original ideas, because there are. That's
Yeah.
a known and like loved genre of horror. So it's not like
Yeah.
something that you can't do. And I just don't. At the end of the day, even though I can say that W is fine, it's like, what's the point? Honestly,
Yeah.
what is the actual point? I'd rather have someone from a marginalized group do something original and see that than to force these things, because it's not needed. And I heard on the timeline a bit of people talking about how they think it's good, and I think it's a valid take to come at it, that it's going to bring more focus onto Korean dramas. However, the percentage of people who are going to move from this American remake to a Korean drama is so negligible. It
Yeah.
actually doesn't
Yeah.
matter all that much,
It's not even a good
especially if they
money-making
have a
scheme.
tie to the American one. They're not going to go see the original one unless they like that type of thing. Like, you are a
Mhm.
person who loves seeing remakes and you like seeing the differences in
Mhm.
like that sort of thing. Most of the people aren't that. So there's actually no incentive to get more people to see Korean dramas that way. That's just not
Yeah.
going to happen. Obviously, the thing that was getting more people to see dramas and is Squid Game getting popular in its own
Mhm.
language and people finding it. One of our like most popular recent episodes to date is that Netflix recommendations thing, and it has to be because people are coming from watching Squid Game and being like, I want to watch more of this because I saw it. It's not like they saw something else on Netflix in English language and they're like,
yeah, that makes me want to go check out another cultures.
Yeah, exactly.
It does nothing, and most of, like, it's got to be most of your people who are watching are not going to be the original people who love that one show either. So it's not. You're not going to.
I'm not going to watch the CW. Like I don't have cable. I don't have easy access to it. So like, I'm probably not going to watch that. You know what I am going to watch? Other K-dramas that are on Netflix. Like others, like because that's what I like. So anyway, remakes. They're a thing. They shouldn't be. Maybe.
Just like to calm everyone, there's so many remakes that have been talked about in the past couple of years. Hotel del Luna is supposed to get a US remake. As I said, Strong Home and Dobon soon. A slew of other things. And what did we get? Only Good Doctor, which is like a hospital procedural that is the easiest thing to work around. None of these actually materialized. And, it does, especially the Time Hunt and Chloe one, it does have a little bit more backing because they're being backed by Netflix essentially. So that's a problem. And both of those things are on Netflix's service right now. They're originals. I don't think it's going to happen for real. I mean, it could, but if you're scared about things, don't be scared.
The only one that could probably happen is W.
And I think the thing to remember with remakes, on the one hand, why bother? On the other hand, it doesn't make the original disappear. It doesn't make the original stop existing. So you don't have to watch the remake. Just ignore it if you don't like it and move back and watch your other stuff. So,
and as Jesse brought up, the percentage of them that actually come to fruition is
very
lower.
Low.
I mean, it's possible now with the Squid Games hype that it's going to be a little more as far as.
I'm gonna be honest, like it happens more in reverse than it does.
That's
very true. Remaking things. Yeah, like Korea remakes way more.
We haven't actually talked about that end, which is also kind of a little bit hypocritical, but like in terms of balance of power structure and stuff, it bears mention these things work because their original culture wasn't a specific thing. Yeah, and I'm not like I want to say it like procedural. Korea could also misstep and take something too, and we don't want to like. Say that like we're just like they're not going to do it because it's just them being hurt by these remakes.
No. There is the potential there, but
for sure,
because of the amounts of money that exist in American television production versus the amounts of money that exist in Asian television production, the chances of a horrific misstep are much higher on the American side because they have a lot more money behind it and a lot bigger audience. However, this doesn't, like, as we said, these things, they rarely manifest into reality, so don't worry about it.
We're just talking about it because it's a news episode.
Yeah,
we can.
And just like we mentioned on the Western side of things, it's true on the Eastern side of things too, as far as original shows that maybe highlight female characters more and, like
color,
more
sexual
diversity.
minorities, gender minorities.
It
we want
objectively speaking, making way for those as opposed to another remake
of something that already exists.
Exactly.
Anyway, who's next? I believe it's Sky.
Let's not launch into something heavy.
Wait around. I know where you're thinking. Let's wait around.
Space it out a bit.
I'll give us a little bit of context. Super 5 was a Project Trot group that involved 2 K-pop group members and all these things. So Super 5 had a member, Jin Wook, that's his name. He was the youngest, he was studying to be an actor. He's already been in a Weekender. I think it was a Weekender that had like 100 episodes or something. But it's something about New Family, I don't remember what it's called. Anyway, he just got cast in a BL.
Yes.
Which is based on a webtoon. I'm not sure if it has a official title. I think we have just like literal translation.
Yeah, Cherry Blossoms After Winter is the accepted. I've read it. It's the accepted title.
Well, I'm just saying so far, like it might
Of the manhwa. That's the official English translation of the manhwa.
Okay.
Sorry, go on.
So yeah, I'm super excited about that. I think he'll do a really good job.
I've read the manhwa. I've read the manhwa. It's the first half of the manhwa, very adorable. I assume they're not going to film the second half of the manhwa because it gets a little spicy, a little too spicy for Korean television. Let's just say that.
As they do.
After they get together, it gets a little wild in the manhwa. So I'm excited for that. I think it'll be cute. Mickey Park, he's had a rough go, mostly of his own making for many years now. There were many allegations. He was arrested for doing meth of all things. Don't do meth, guys. He had a failed engagement, and I feel like he's been trying to make his comeback. I personally think he should just retire and fade off into, But he's back, and he's been forced by the court to suspend any entertainment activities because currently according to him, he left his entertainment company and started a new entertainment company. But according to his old entertainment company, he never officially left his entertainment company. So he's been trying to do stuff in Japan, and his old entertainment company's like, whoa.
What's going on?
You're still under contract. And he's like, no, I'm not under contract. So the courts have now said, until we determine who's under contract, you can't do shit. So he's failed once again at trying to change his image. I feel like enough is enough, dude. You should probably
3 strikes, you're out.
You should just move on.
It's not working out. Just give up.
No.
Listen, you had your heyday, then you made many poor life decisions. It may be time to just retire to the countryside. Go to the farm like an elderly dog. Just enjoy the sunsets. Maybe have a little garden or something. You're just making it worse for yourself. Just move on. You don't hear much about him these days, except bad things. So time to go.
At that point, you're just like, oh no.
Old Mickey, it's time to. I hope you saved money from when you were popular because it doesn't look like it's coming back. I'm sorry to say.
So the National Theatre Company of Korea has opened up a streaming service platform. It's called Online Theater, and it's to reach a broader audience with their musicals and theater productions. They are going to be doing, or have already established, I haven't really looked into it, subtitles.
That's awesome.
At least English subtitles. I think they're trying to get more different countries. Also, they are angling it as a way of people with disabilities to be able to watch these productions that may be potentially where the theater is located. There's no access to them, or they just can't leave their house. I think it's a nice thing. Do I think that all the theaters in Korea probably should be accessible for everyone? Yes. Obviously not
small steps. We got to work on these small
thing
steps.
There.
Yeah,
so,
to that.
Especially if you are someone who maybe compromised right now, being able to go out is not an option. So having this way of watching some of the musicals and theater productions that are happening in Korea is really nice.
It's also great for people who are too poor to buy a ticket.
That's true.
I think that the more accessibility in these ways is incredible. And I do hope that they also include audio guides for, the blind and everything.
I have so too. I need to look into it more. It's just a little bit harder with theater news. There's a person I follow on Twitter who does a good job at translating stuff, but she's not professional, and she's essentially doing it for free. So it's harder because just not a lot of that's translated unless an idol is in a production, and then it's who they are in the production. You're like, that's not what I want. I want to.
That's great. That when an idol's in it, it expands the knowledge of musical theater to the world. However, that shouldn't be the only time that this is popularized.
Yeah, especially because it is very popular in Korea. This is a very popular form of entertainment in Korea.
Actor, we had Joon,
yes.
who is very fine, very attractive young man, was in Squid Games, gained a lot of attention from that. Very nice for him. He was listed in People Magazine's top sexiest, whatever, sexy man of the year issue, he is listed as one of the top 25 sexiest men on TV. So good for him.
Good for, killing it, dude. Like,
I mean, he started
it's
out as a model, so there really was no option in this.
And this is a very subjective list, but on the other hand, more diversity in the, sexiest man People magazine competition is never a bad thing.
It's sort of related what I've been seeing in the last couple of days too, because there was a whole thing where Lee Jung-jae, who's the lead in Squid Games, got kind of like this red carpet, like, wow, this show's blown up, like from an American host. You just must not be able to leave your house anymore. And he's like, I've been like wickedly popular for 20 years. I was a teenage heartthrob. Like,
it's about the same.
It's not
until they come here, maybe.
He's like in America, I guess.
I guess. Like, so I mean, he was very gracious and very polite about the whole thing, but that sort of coupled with other media, social media things, suddenly people who watched Squid Games and loved it have been made aware that he's super duper hot, and they're like, what happened? Like,
he's also I had no idea. Gucci just hired him to be one of their like faces of Gucci. So
yeah,
I'm sure he's had crazy brand sponsorships for a long time. I mean, the reality is he's been a heartthrob forever.
And constantly working in well-known projects.
The interview had the energy of that dude telling Johnny from NCT that his English was amazing. Like, it had that energy.
To be specific, for any listeners that don't know, Johnny was from Chicago.
Yeah, Johnny grew up in Chicago, like born and raised in Chicago.
And he literally, in the interview, the guy says that to him, and he's like, "I'm from Chicago."
Yeah, he's like, "I'm from Chicago," and like the face he made was just like, "What?" Like,
and he like turns to Mark, who's also
who's Canadian, and he's just like, "You believe this guy?"
Yeah.
It's always embarrassing. It's always embarrassing, like, especially from a journalist. Like, aren't you supposed to do your research?
Yeah, there is an aspect of, this was the most popular show in the world for several weeks. So yes, you would think that I get what you're trying to go for here. Like, you're wildly popular now. And he might even be more popular amongst certain portions of the population in Korea than he was before, right? So you're like, no.
Especially because the girl is just like some random extra entertainment news thing. So there wouldn't be much in the way of anything. She probably didn't even have was given any sort of thing on what she should be doing. But I think it's something that you have to acknowledge, the kind of unconscious bias of it all and the xenophobia, and even if it's not like maliciously that it's there, and it's one of those things you have to like remind yourself that you could do that even if you think you're being good, or generally you are not anything phobic or whatever. I think it's just like to remind yourself, it's like, why did you think that just because someone whose native language is not here, why would that automatically make them popular in their home country? And realize that even if you are uninformed on who this person is in an entertainment standpoint, you should just not be doing that sort of thing in general to people. Like, North American and Western TV is not the it.
All right, Sky, it's your turn, and I know Sky,
do you want me to go into that? There's other stuff I can talk about.
This is a ranty episode. This is like our full-on rant.
Sky, bring it.
Oh, now you're hyping it up way too much.
Go, Sky.
I'll start off by a little bit saying, like, HYBE, which used to be Big Hit, which, if you don't know that, they're the people that have BTS. They're the entertainment company that has BTS.
You're unaware of this.
Well, I mean, Big hit is such a general like term, you know. Like,
Yeah.
So they had a thing where they talked about like what they're gonna be up to, and they're gonna be up to lots and lots of things. On the fun side, they're going to be making webtoons and web novels and animations and games
Super
with their
fun.
artists.
Yeah.
It does look
Super
super
fun.
cool. Wow, they were already cornering the market a lot on that anyway. It's going to be a lot of stuff. Like it's going to be lots. Also, and those of you who have used this platform, VLive, we know that VLive is on its last leg, or however you want to say that. VLive and Weverse, they're two different platforms. They're eventually going to be combined into one.
Combined
So that's a thing.
loose. It's not really.
Easily.
They're pretty much demolishing VLive, so it's not really like a combination. It's a
Which is really, I find really sad because VLive, there's just a lot of content there that it's gonna go poof.
Yeah.
Which we know that fan bases and stuff are probably working their tail ends off to like hard back it up somewhere.
But like groups that are no longer like, those are the groups that are gonna get
groups and stuff.
really kind of shafted in this.
That's why it's a huge bummer. So that was on the gentle side of what I was going to talk about. In general, though, I'm actually going to talk about NFTs.
Boo!
I am going to start with what the crap are NFTs. I'm not even going to like go into all the schematics of that because it's boring and there's a lot of jargon and it really sucks.
And I feel like we've covered this before. This is not Sky's first rodeo.
So I will say on a personal note, NFTs like infuriate me on so many levels, and we'll get to that. But NFTs, the thing about NFTs is they aren't really anything. They're made up. They're trying to say that you have ownership over something that you will never have ownership over. It's usually a digital product of some sort that is stored somewhere else and you never truly have ownership over it. I'll eventually talk about the artist side of that, not K-pop artists, but like the art world and some of that stuff. But let's talk about K-pop side, since that's what we were starting with. The reason I'm bringing all this up is there's a lot of stuff going down with NFTs in the K-pop world. I'm sure you've seen it, even if you're trying to ignore the heck out of it. There's been a lot of, on a small scale, there's been kind of singular groups or even smaller, sometimes just an entertainment company or whatever. They'll kind of push for an NFT thing, and typically the fans immediately react and say, we don't want this.
Yeah.
Immediately, right? Yeah.
No one has ever wanted it.
And the poor K-pop group, you know, usually has a representative or all the members, you know, they're having to promote it because they have to promote whatever they're told to promote. Their hands are tied. So I'm not going to ever launch into like who, you know, which groups are doing it. I'm not going to sit here and point fingers at these artists that they have zero say in what they're doing. So
they're
contractually they can't do anything.
You start talking about the companies, and it's because they're seeing this. I mean, okay, K-pop is a very consumer driven. We know this. It is not a necessarily highly ethical thing to begin with. We are all fully aware of this. But NFTs, the thing is, they're preying upon, and this is true on the other side of K-pop consumerism too, they're preying upon typically younger people.
Yeah.
Children sometimes, right? As far as the consumers of these things. So they make an appealing, easy to purchase with incentives item that doesn't even exist. And on top of that, they put more perks of like fan sign type perks, raffle type perks. But then also in the shadow of all that, to make these things function environmentally, this is all just incredibly destructive. So bad. NFTs have already created enough everything that it's equivalent to a lot of countries. It's already bad. And the thing is, it's not like we have a lot of wiggle room to try to save the environment at this point. We're already sucking at it. Let's not be worse than we already are.
I will say that there are specific companies that are like better at this environmental side than others, but like at the end of the day, they kind of cancel each other out.
Yeah.
So it's really only like a personal feeling of being better, I guess.
And that's why I also didn't want to get into like, as far as the logistics and the technical side of blockchain and NFTs and all these things, it probably is actually going to be a little bit different. So like one of the specific things I'm going to talk about with K-pop NFTs. So there's a music show called The Show. It's SBS MTV's The Show. It's a music show that you've seen K-pop groups on, all this stuff. So they are participating in a new NFT platform. The platform is called Featured. So like if you're reading an article about this as a Western English speaking person, you can just go right over that word and not even catch that that's actually what the platform name is. It is powered by Binance Smart Chain, BSC. It's in collaboration with K-Star Live. They are a Hallyu media startup. They have 9.3 million subscribers around the world. So they already have some people paying attention to them. So pretty much what happened was K-Star Live and The Show decided we're going to make our first drop of NFT crud. And it's not just pictures like you'd think. They're actually clips of performances that occurred on the show. So for this first drop, a total of 25,000 NFTs will be dropped. Among those, there's levels and rarities and all these things in order to try to make people buy. I'm going to break it down just a little bit because it's interesting that 24 holders of the legendary level of NFT, they can redeem it for lifetime tickets to attend a shooting of the show twice a year. 5 of those will receive air and hotel accommodation to attend those shootings. On a lower level, which would be the epic level, there will be 300 people that can redeem lifetime tickets once a year. So this is the type of incentive that they're trying to make in order to make people buy more, to kind of have the raffle or to get the chance in order to get into this show. Tough to go watch the filmings of these shows sometimes. And so you can see the incentive of getting a spot, but yeah, they could do this in a bazillion different ways.
Why can't it just be a website with a membership and raffles? Like it doesn't. Why NFTs? Why?
If you back this up, they already have things like that. Typically, these K-pop groups already have the fan clubs that already have discounts and ways they give all the information out on how to attend the music show filmings and all these things. But this is just another level to that. And again, this is preying upon younger people.
Yeah. It's essentially like taking photo cards and what people do with photo cards, but making it something that's not a tangible card. And then adding an MLM scheme to it, and also essentially stocks. I don't even know the word. Like it's just the way that these things will like fluctuate in price is more than what they are fluctuating now buying physical photo cards. And with the show, what they're doing is essentially you understand where they're coming from in terms of they're essentially replacing all these like photo card things with this NFT thing, which is cheaper for them because they don't have to produce anything. But like also already established in all of those music shows, they've done stuff where they have specific photo cards that you got if you attended those music shows. And so they're preying upon those people, or the people who buy lots of CDs to get a slot to like do a fan sign. It's in that level, and you understand why they're doing it, but it has all these added terribleness to it.
And we've seen how the K-pop industry, there's a lot of sketchy corruption monetarily and stuff going on. And I just read a really interesting thread today about how NFTs are actually the perfect scheme for money laundering. So,
it's okay. Money
like your kids are not getting any of this money, guys. Like that. That's aware
the biggest thing. Like
your kids are not going to see this money.
Well, also the people who are in the NFTs and the people who make that like not make them, but like essentially who in the show's case who made them, because they're actual pictures from stage, which meant that designers and all lighting producers and stuff made that stage. They're not seeing any of the money. The people in the folders are not getting the money. If you're comparing it to photo cards, because that's the biggest thing that K-pop has that are directly tied to NFTs, and that's like kind of economy of K-pop.
Yeah, K-pop economy.
At least in a photo card, the company who made it makes money off of it because they're in CDs, and so do the groups
get a cut of that.
Get a cut. Yeah. So does the photographer, designers, the people who print it. They all get money out of it. But what you're essentially doing is taking a screenshot of an already like produced show and then just making a bunch of them, and it's all the same screenshot essentially, but they've numbered it. So now they're individual, and sometimes they might be higher in price and sometimes they might be lower, and your investment fluctuates with how popular it is or how like collectible it is, especially at that time. It's horrible for artists.
So I'll talk just for a second about like on the artist side, and not necessarily K-pop artists, but like just NFTs often with the art world it's definitely a big conversation, because that's also an aspect of what's going on. Thing is, NFTs were created by a guy like during a crunch session competition thing, and I'm not going to get into all of that, but he was trying to come up with something to help artists, and he very quickly figured out it is not good for artists, and it is very, very, very easy. You know how we mentioned money laundering, but also people are stealing art left and right, minting it and selling it without the artist's knowledge. On top of that, there's even at least one, I'm sure more, specific instances where they're selling deceased artists' work without family knowledge. And it's just the most awful ethical. The way NFTs function are pretty much a byproduct of cryptocurrency.
And like recently there was a story about a guy who invented a like Squid Game themed cryptocurrency that a bunch of people bought into, and then he ran off with their money.
And that happens very, 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 very often.
Yeah. I also just literally saw a thread of a guy who is, I think, a game developer, or at least does the art for games. That company started producing NFTs with his work when he was only contracted to do the work for the game. And he's like specifically not into NFTs at all. And so it was like, not only was he not getting money, he's really opposed to NFTs, and all of his work was being like taken, and essentially like he's gonna have to fight with like really big corporate lawyers and stuff because of all this copyright infringement that like people, like just a ton of people already have his work, and the company made all the money off of it.
Probably the funniest and yet best example of why NFTs are a total scam, that was a screenshot I saw the other day of a Twitter conversation where this guy was, going on about NFTs being great and how awesome it is. His picture on Twitter is of this NFT that he bought, that he, for thousands of dollars or whatever, original artwork. And the guy who was arguing with him just screenshotted it and said, now I own it and I got it for free. And the guy was like, wait, what? How did you do that? And he's like, is it possible you don't understand screenshot technology? Like, I mean, you still have your ticket that says you own this picture, but guess what? I own it too now.
What the NFT dude didn't understand was that he only purchased the proof, essentially. And he was like, in the end, he's like, I didn't know.
And I think that's the thing. People, it preys on people not knowing. They think it's something new and it's this great new technology.
I gotta get like, first.
I saw this guy describe it and he said, it's tulip bulbs, guys. Like it's literally all going to crash down around you.
Yeah. And
it can't continue on because there's nothing there.
You are hitting up 16 and younger kids who are going to spend all this money because they want to be the one who has that thing, because they are already primed for that kind of economy in this world. Like, trust me, I also am one of those losers that collect photo cards.
I love
like
photo
they're
cards.
already there. Like it's already like an established culture in K-pop consumerism. And it's just so easy for that to happen. I just don't understand how NFTs are legally allowed to work, especially when YouTube was sued for billions of dollars because their YouTube Kids was accessible to ads. What is it? The FDA or whatever decided that kids could not comprehend ads, so they can't be given ads. And how is NFTs not part of this as well?
On the American side, the IRS is slowly catching on. Whenever these quote unquote new things come about, so the scam itself isn't new with these things, but like the platform and all this stuff. So it just takes the IRS or whatever entity that needs to be taxing or putting laws or any of this stuff. It just takes them a little bit to go, crap, we need to like now say some specific jargon stuff against this specific thing. So it's already starting to happen as far as like slowly.
Like, let's be honest, like the Trade Commission, like, you know, and like all of these, like, you know, the CRTC and stuff, they don't understand the internet to begin with, so they're always way behind. On everything.
And the
like,
thing
they
is,
do not get it.
But they're also gonna get money no matter what. And so now there's just been a delay on this taxing of everything. And so people who have already bought stuff just thought that was their price.
And ultimately, when the house of cards falls, it is not going to be the people at the top who get destroyed. It's going to be the kids at the bottom. It's going to be their parents who are left holding the bag. It's going to be the poor people who thought that they were making a cool investment in
this
something.
Is how Ponzi schemes
it's
work.
not going to be the rich people at the top because they are taking their money out.
So but I do want to say on the news side of things, so NFT K-pop side, we talked about the show. That's kind of one of the newer things. Also, HYBE is one of the newer announcements, but I'm going to talk about HYBE and JYP at the same time for a second, because essentially what happened was back in July of this year, and then very recently with HYBE. So in July, JYP, and then recently with HYBE, they both signed partnerships with this same place called Dunamu. They are the company that operates Upbit, which is South Korea's #1 digital asset exchange, and it's all about NFT growth. Essentially, the platform, just everything. And both times, JYP and HYBE, they both had all the jargon of, you know, broadening the fan experience and all these things, and even the articles about the show stuff too. Every time they pretty much say out loud, we're trying to be the forerunner of K-pop NFT content. All these people got their mitts in quick, and there's been other small ones, like I mentioned earlier. You know, but these are the big boys, HYBE and JYP, and I'm sure SM is somewhere doing something, you know.
Probably.
I don't even doubt it. CJ Entertainment is probably, you know, doing something too. I mean, this is across the board to where they're all trying to get on the ground level of this stuff. And then, so you have NFTs, then you have the crap that Facebook's trying to do with metaverse things, which, by the way, Seoul is going to become the first city in the world to enter the metaverse and have a lot of their stuff.
I hate it. I hate everything
virtual
about
side.
It.
I do not hate everything about it. The one aspect, just like we were talking about with kind of the access of like the musical theater thing.
Yeah, like that stuff, great.
Accessibility, I see the appeal of some of this accessibility. So I do not want to say that every virtual digital thing is a negative thing. That is not necessarily true. So NFTs, this is real fake stuff that's happening. You
and I will
know
say,
what's up.
you know, we talked about K-pop a lot, and, you know, groups that, you know, their companies are taking over. Don't think you are in another area and you are safe, because Mavee also did it too. So
Mavee is a guy that in general, like, good dude, as far as we know, all these things. he's also he's hip on the tech side. So of course he has already held at least one talk where he's like, yay, NFTs are great. And it's like, no, they
Not
are
you.
But it's like at the same time, he could be misinformed. He could think that
That's
some
true.
aspects of
And
them
I'm
are
saying
great.
that like don't like be like, oh,
Yeah.
it's just these like evil companies and with their younger K-pop idols who don't know, Mavee is good at the level of business side that he is, and he's older. No one's essentially saving this.
And honestly, I just think it's a matter of time before. So let's say specifically Korean entertainment, just encapsulating it. You know, we're talking about K-pop side because that's what the news was recently. But like, I think it's just a matter of time before it leaks into the drama production. Or
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
there's it's going to, because again, there is a fan base of some level. This will be a thing, and it'll expand, not just Korea. This will be a thing elsewhere, but it's already a thing, even Western side. You know, like Discord is gonna do something. I mean, it's everywhere.
And the only
It
way to make
translates
this all
hard.
go away is if everybody just decides we ain't doing it. We're not paying money for this stuff. They'll stop doing it, because if they're not making money, they're not going to do it no more.
So sorry this was long. Sorry it was boring.
It's not.
Just be aware. And it makes my blood pressure rise anytime.
To lower that blood pressure, Winners Mino is having his film debut.
Follow that up.
He was cast in a Netflix movie called Soul Vibe, which is a heist film set during the 1988 Olympics in Seoul. And it also has Go Kyung-pyo and Yua in it. So
doesn't that sound fun?
It is
so
a
good.
Netflix production.
I like
It's been out
all
for,
of the words in that sentence. Like there's
And
no
every single
words I don't
actual
like there.
true thing that happened too,
It
or like
is,
based
and
on
I
events.
believe
Yeah.
it is. I believe it is based on true events.
Crazy.
So that's fun.
Yeah.
I love a good heist film.
If you are not a person who hates season 2s of things, a lot of dramas have been announcing season 2s. They're either in pre-production, production, a thought, a guarantee. It'll take a long time for a lot of these things to happen.
To materialize.
DP, which was the Netflix series that just aired this year, the guy that did the OST kind of confirmed that there was going to be a second season of it. I would assume it's probably years from now, so sorry.
Yeah.
Good Detective season 2 is already filming, and I think it's maybe mid next year is when it's thinking about to be released. Squid Game will probably have a season 2. It kind of sounds like director kind of doesn't want it, but I don't think he's in a position to say no, because he's also talked about it in interviews where he's like, I kind of have my hands tied because of everybody making me do this.
Yeah. That was the thing I saw, and people were like freaking out, like, it's confirmed season 2. And I'm like, and they linked this conversation with him where he said, I guess I have to. And I was like, that's hardly the ringing endorsement you think it is, folks. But
what else? There's a couple of others that I didn't actually write down on our PDF, but Yumi Cells will have a second season.
Oh.
Yumi Cells is also going to be having
they're going to be doing animation,
and
yeah,
musical.
Wow.
Because the fun part of Yumi Cells is the cells.
Yeah, everyone loves the cells.
There's a couple of other dramas that I saw. I just can't think of them off the top of my head, and they were probably announced a fair bit ago. But
yeah, because I definitely saw one that listed 2022, but I can't remember what.
We'll tell you guys later.
Yeah. We will do news again sometime. So
whatever that.
I guess kind of downer news, but it's not exactly entertainment related. But we all know, we kind of mentioned earlier about China and crackdowns on things, and the bromance versus the boys love and crackdown on gay content and stuff. This has expanded or also reflected in social media accounts, like kids who were big on Weibo, who were deemed to be too effeminate, were getting their accounts closed down and stuff. Preemptively, the LGBT Rights Advocacy China, which is a group, a rights advocacy
legal
group,
advocacy group, yeah.
they have closed all their social media accounts and announced that all their activities are suspended indefinitely. This is a group that provided support for the LGBTQ community in China. They would help with like legal support for people who were, fired or for various reasons. And they're not doing anything. They essentially have ceased to exist. They have not officially announced that they've disbanded, but basically they no longer exist. So
it's pretty obvious this is not like a of their own choice.
No.
Like,
yeah.
This is a government crackdown on them.
So if you were hoping that this was
Gonna blow over.
a blip that was going to blow over in your media and in your entertainment world, don't count on it. So
the media side and stuff for us as a consumer is a letdown. I mean,
yeah, but
these are real people's
but
lives.
exactly, it's real people.
Yeah, keeping in mind that
The real danger of
people's livelihoods, but then also things like this that are very, very, serious, and people have to deal with it every day. It's really scary and sad.
The kind of thing that a government can do where they, like, technically it's not illegal to be gay in China. It hasn't been for a couple of decades now, whatever, but they can do all these little things like crack down on the media, crack down on the social media, crack down on all these things, and yet still sort of above board, like say, no, it's not illegal. We don't have anything against, right? Everything they do says otherwise. So
or everything they do is to silence people, which
exactly. So that's downer news.
I have a funny news, or I find it funny. Anytime that another virtual group gets announced, I just kind of chuckle.
I find it amusing.
So Metaverse Entertainment, which I laughed at that. No, not Facebook Meta, but like it's literally called Metaverse Entertainment. They're planning to launch a virtual girl group called Mavee, an AI girl group for members. If it's confirmed, which it kind of is, but whatever, expected to compete with KDA and SM's ESPA. I just find it all funny. So.
I'm having like horror flashbacks to remember that video where they had the AIs singing and how bad it was and
so creepy.
It's unsettling, like uncanny valley situation.
I would love the concept of like giving older singers or singers who might not fit the perfect K-pop mold, giving them an avenue, a platform through this type of thing where you get to hear their voices, you get to experience their artistry, and people are letting it be out there because, you didn't have to look at the uggos. Whatever, at least they, like, it's not good, but like, I could kind of get behind it.
They can still pay their bills doing what they're talented at.
There are plenty of people who have great singing voices. We don't need make-believe ones. Like, I
mean, if people are into Vocaloids, that's fine.
Yes.
But like, it should just kind of be But, and I don't know if you guys have seen this, but I saw it over on Hulu. There is a I don't know if it's a competition show. It's definitely a music show where people perform, but they're behind an avatar. It's a thing.
Okay.
But yeah, that's on the Western side of things. Like, I saw that too. But yeah, the especially the fact that this was from Metaverse Entertainment, it just like extra cracked me up with everything. Yeah. Because I'm sorry, I was also hacked at Zuckerberg. Like, the fact that he's like, Metaverse, we're gonna start using this more. I'm like, Metaverse has been a term for everyone within fiction for a long time.
Nice try. Nice try. So in real people news, so So the little comeback kid of a show, KinnPorche in Thailand, finally had the press conference that like, yeah, we're actually happy. Enough of us making these erotic teasers, because that's basically what they've been doing.
Yeah.
We're gonna do this. First off, before I get into this, I need to point out that I don't know who is behind finding investments for KinnPorche, but they must have they must be the most convincing people on earth, because the official sponsor of the show, KinnPorche, is Maserati.
Oh my gosh.
The show's name has another brand of car in the title. I just need to say, like, that is impressive, okay? Like, that is... So there's going to be some sick cars in this show already. So you just know that's coming, because their official sponsor is Maserati for KinnPorche. Anyway, they held a press conference to finally be like, we've got a full cast, we're starting filming. It turned into a bit of a shit show, because they turned it into basically a Magic Mike show at this point. Men were ripping off their clothes and gyrating on stage. It was a wild situation, okay? And so they had to replace some actors, and the big controversy was that one of the actors they replaced Gameplay, who was from Ingredients, with a 17-year-old, okay? Who is paired with, who is the original partner, Jeff Satter, who's a singer, that is still on the cast, but he's like pushing 30. And so it's not their fault. Like, it's not these actors' fault, okay? They're just actors looking for work. But people are like making a big deal. This is not the first time that like, it's usually about 17 has been paired with like an adult actor. But this is the first time that people aren't like upset about it. Because, like, for example, there's another actor, Medium Earth. No, is it Little Earth? It's Little Earth.
There's too many actors with the name Earth.
There's three well-known Thai actors named Earth.
An entire time you just hear...
I know. 1 second, I gotta open the door to let him out. 1 second. Buddy.
It was just the rate and speed of it. It was like... furiously typing on the typewriter. Oh my gosh.
Okay, there you go. You can leave. Go. You're free. So yeah, basically there's Big, Medium, and Little Earth, and so this is Little Earth, where he was paired in a show with a 17-year-old, and he's like 24, and people were like really upset at him. They're like, oh, he's creeping on this kid, where there's like no evidence of him creeping on this kid at all. Like, they have like TikToks where they like do like TikTok dances together, and people are like, look at this sexual dancing that these be forcing this. And I'm just like watching them, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, so anyway, but people are not mad at Jeff for the first time ever. But I think the real reason is, Little Earth is a very feminine man, and he's also openly gay, whereas Jeff, I don't know, he doesn't, who cares? Like, he's not a feminine person. So I think people are like, I think it's really just homophobia, guys, like, sort of guised in, we gotta protect the children, where it's like, no, that's, like, they're just actors, they're not, no one's creeping on anyone, you just hate feminine gay men. Okay, like, we get it. But anyway, this was a wild press conference like no other you've ever seen. Very weird. It was a very weird time. People do not know what to think about this show. It's either going to be just an absolute mess, or it's gonna, like, I will say this though, the preview, like, they made like teasers that they put out, and they are some of the slickest, nicest teasers I have ever seen for a show.
Well, didn't they do well with the first teasers?
They did very well with, like, they made like a it wasn't even a teaser, it was like a very long preview that was like, this is the preview of the show, that were like the basic plot and like the characters and stuff. And then everything fell apart with the production company, and then it was bought out by like a smaller production company, and then to like assure people that it was still happening, they put out these teasers. But these teasers are like these weird erotic art films. Like, it's so bizarre, but they're like beautifully filmed where it's like, you know, you've got like fire. It's like I can't even describe them because they're just so out there for like a BL show teaser that you're like, what am I watching? Like, this is so stylized and slick and like, anyway, they look great. I have no idea if the show will be good. I will have to wait to see it. But I am happy to report Perth is back, baby. They got him back. At first, he like wasn't because of filming like another show. And so he's like, sorry guys, like I won't be in like KinnPorche. Like I know you were all excited because I was gonna be like a villain or whatever, and I'm like a sweet little dumpling, so like everyone was like, ooh, I was gonna play a villain. But then he was like, guess who's back, baby? It's me, your favorite Australian Thai Pokemon enthusiast. I'm back. Because if you're unaware, Perth, he's a 27-year-old Australian-born, ethnically Thai actor, perfectly trilingual in Thai, English, and Japanese. And he does these live streams that he does things like he plays Animal Crossing, or he'll build Gundam models. But mostly it's him talking about how much he loves Pokemon. And like behind him is just all Pokemon stuff. And he just, that's just his whole thing. So he's on YouTube. If you like that sort of thing, he's a delight. And he'll switch between Thai, English, and Japanese depending on who's asking him questions in the chat. And then he also makes learn Thai videos where he'll like teach you basic Thai phrases. It's very cute. But anyway, people are very excited he's back. People are excited about Jeff Satter, the singer. He's still in it, even though they're very unexcited that he's acting opposite a 17-year-old. I'm sure he's not very excited about it either.
Sad that it won't be gameplay because he and gameplay have such great chemistry together.
And like, but gameplay's got a lot going on. He's been in a lot of shows and stuff. So, but anyway, there were so many shirtless men at this friggin' press con. I don't know if I can even call it a press conference. Okay, like it went a little wild. It went off the rails. Anyway, so that, you know, that show will be coming out soon, which if
Thai drama soon?
Yeah, Thai drama soon is like anytime within the next 5 years. So soon.
We'll see you in 2023.
Yeah, we'll see. Like, listen, we were burned. We were burned by A Tale of a Thousand Stars. So, but listen, when A Tale of a Thousand Stars finally came out, it was excellent.
So there's been a bunch of confirmed castings and stuff out, but I just want to talk about one that's actually not confirmed, but would be great if it actually confirms very soon. There is a K-drama coming out next year called Delivery Night, like KNIGHT. At least that's where it is now. It probably won't be that title next year.
Good title.
The top lineup of cast is Song Sang-hyun, Kim Woo-bin, and Isom. 3
chef's kiss.
Very great options.
Chef's kiss.
Also, this would also be potentially Woo-bin's
first
comeback since he had to take off, if you don't know, because you probably are here not even knowing who he is, but he was a fairly known actor, but he had to take time off because he was diagnosed with cancer. And so he spent a good amount of years off and out of the public spotlight. But there have been talks within this like year or so where the agency was potentially better to be doing stuff, and we're all like, please.
I just remember when like the first pictures of him, like after his recovery came out, it was like him and what's that dude's name? The guy from W.
Jung.
Yeah, they were at a coffee shop, and he had that beautiful long hair, and everyone was like, "Whoops, whoops!" Yeah.
I also think that the drama is going to be something that we like generally like. It is set in a dystopian future in which pollution has become so severe that the only way to survive is to have everything delivered. Hence,
so
the
like pretty
night.
realistic.
Yeah.
And I think
relatable.
And I think Song Sang-hyun, like, supposedly he'll be cast as the villain.
That's what I hear.
Oh my gosh, I didn't hear that. I'm so
like,
into
right?
that.
I love it.
Also, I will
Love
like
it.
really quickly, if I can find it, there's another lineup of a cast. Gosh, where is it? I'll find it because it bears mentioning here. So next year, an OCN drama is going to come out called Superior Day. It'll be broadcasting in the first half of the year. And it's a 24-hour thriller that depicts the most ordinary man who has to kill a serial killer living next door to save his kidnapped daughter. The cast is right now Jingu, Hado Kwan, and Lee Won-gung. Just looks so good. And I didn't know it was going to be set in a specific time period too. And I'm just like so into that premise. And an OCN.
And the guy from isn't that the guy from Cheer Up?
Yeah.
So he's going to be playing.
He's the serial killer.
Who acts like really nice and stuff.
Sweet boy. Like, oh my gosh. Did you ever watch that the tofu soup, wild chive soup?
Wild chives and soybean soup or whatever it's called. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that show. It's like one of the only ones in that kind of like mahjong type dramas that I was so into. But him in that, he's just, his face, if you've never seen him, he does that thing where he just like smiles and his eyes smile and he's like
everything
you're like,
so
oh my god, you're so
innocent.
sweet. He's also in Jugglers.
It's a face you want to pinch. A little face
You just want to be like, oh my god, you're the cutest. And him as a serial killer, oh my gosh.
Yes.
And I don't think he's done anything in a very long time. I think he was.
I think he was enlisted, but I think he's in Won the Woman right now, isn't he?
Maybe.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe in a drama that I'm not like it's on my radar. There's some good shows potentially coming up next year that I'm super excited for.
Yeah, he's in Won the Woman right now.
I like him and thought of him as a serial killer. I'm just so into that premise.
Taking it over to the Philippines, this absolutely adorable trailer, I mean, super cheesy, has been released for this musical rom-com about a gay prince. And it looks like, imagine if you will, Disney Channel in the late 90s.
Disney Channel original
if they
musical.
made a Descendants style, that kind of musical foolishness with like Prince Charming and one of the other princes, Prince Charming and the Woodcutter is the story. Like it just looks super cheesy and super silly, and
it's called Rainbow Prince.
The Rainbow
Prince.
Like
best kiss.
It'll be a delight. So hopefully available places that we can watch it. Who doesn't want an adorable singing gay Disney prince? Like that's just, I mean, this isn't Disney, but like, yeah, well, I mean,
we don't consider them. Listen, this is not for them. Our podcast, not for them.
Not for.
It's not our vibe here.
If you're here, you've taken a wrong turn.
Yes. If you're a homophobe who hates singing princes falling in love, this is not the podcast for you, my dude.
Turn right around out that door.
Walk out the door, and we are an accepting, safe space, but not of bigots. So get out. We accept everyone except bigots. So no tolerance here, my dudes. So this has been another episode of the Newsnas, the news we want you to know, news we find interesting.
We personally wanted you to know.
It's not the news you need to know most of the time, but it's news you might like to know.
Or that we saw before we made
we thought it was vaguely interesting, and we're like, let's put that on the news. Let's put that on a Newsnas episode. Anyway, we hope you have a fantastic week. If you want to listen to more of our nonsense, we are wherever podcasts can be found for the most part. But we do have a website, certifiednewsnas.com, that has all of the episodes, as well as links to everything we talk about, and like time codes and everything. It's a good time. If you loved what you listened to and you want to help us keep coming up with new stuff, you can become an official sponsor of this podcast by going to patreon.com/certifiednewsnas to become a member of the Certified Found family. That's the fun people, the great people over there who keep the lights on in this little enterprise, as it were. We have movie nights, we have fun times. It's a good time over there, and we love all of our fan family so much because they're the best. And being part of the fan family gets you special privileges on our Discord server. That's right, we have a Discord server, the Certified Newsnas Discord server, where you can, if you have like, if you ever like, man, I have a great idea for an episode that I wish I had their input on. We have a whole channel on our Discord server that's for episode suggestions that you can go and put in your suggestion. We've got a bingo game going on. We've got all sorts of fun stuff. The Discord server is a good time. But if you aren't into Discord but you still want to communicate with us, you can always hit us up on social media. We are mostly on Twitter and Instagram. Those are the easiest places to get a hold of us. And it's always at Certified Newsnas, one word, no underscores, no nothing, just Certified Newsnas. You can find us on all the social medias. Anyway, we hope you have a fantastic week. We hope you're staying safe, wearing a mask, washing your hands, and maybe get vaccinated if it's available to you at this time, if you haven't already. And keep enjoying Asian entertainment. Bye.
Bye.